Why, hi there, it's me, it's Uncle Ron, and we haven't done one of these in a long time. It's time for the State of Retro Sports Network on this 23rd day of October, because October and June are so close together, 20 to 22. And so here we are. We have finished our 1985 replay, and I still haven't even done the playlist for it yet. I don't know how many games we did. I know that during the lockdown, or locked out, not lockdown. I was locked down this summer. That we did daily games during the week, and so I think probably between the regular season and the 18-game postseason that I did close to, there must have been over 100 games, I know, because we did some doubleheaders. So that pretty much takes up most of the channel as the annual baseball replay, and there will be a 5th season of baseball on Retro Sports Network. I'm still not sure what I want to do. I'm either thinking 1993, which was the last year that baseball was number one in my wheelhouse because there was strikes and girlfriend, fiance, wives that came after that. Or 2001, which I really enjoyed with doing the Mariners, and the Yankees are pretty good. That was a great World Series, of course, and Diamondbacks. The only thing I think about doing a season after 95 or after, 95 is an interesting one too, is that you get the extra round of playoffs. And it would take a lot of work to do those playoffs because you're talking about, instead of 3 series, best of 7, so 21 possible games if you went all the way through, that we're talking adding 4 best of 5s on there. So we're talking maybe a 41 game postseason on top of a 3+ game a week regular season, because the whole point of doing these replays is not the destination. It's not necessarily the World Series that we want to do. It's the day in and day out. I mean, that's what makes, for me, baseball the great game that it is getting to there and then taking the extra time to go through and do the World Series. And so while 2001 intrigues me for a number of different reasons, the thought of doing a possible 41-game postseason, oh my goodness gracious, or even doing even more modern season now with a best of 3 wildcards series. On top of that, I figured it's a 54-game postseason. That would just be a whole project into itself. We do 3 streams a week, 4 streams a week. That's almost 10 weeks worth of things just for the playoffs. And the other thing I was thinking of for that is you don't want to skip a playoff game. That's the whole point of doing the postseason. It's one of the reasons why I probably would never do a full NHL or NBA project unless it was a semi-quick game or a single team thing, because my God, they just go on forever and ever and ever, and you'd be so tired. And to get you skip one team and someone's going to complain that you didn't do their team and blah, 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 blah. So I'm not quite sure. 93, of course, best of 7 in the LCS is the last year of the pure or just the 3 playoff series, a maximum of 21 games. I was actually thinking that if I went with 2001, I would probably just do double headers during the LCS. So AL, one league one day and another league the next. I really don't want to do a season from the 60s. It's just not in my wheelhouse. I know there's some good ones, 64, 67, of course, and a lot of people are talking about 56 because that was the first retro season from Stratomatic, although it'll be an Action PC, and of course there's Mickey Mantle's Triple Crown and a great race in the National League and all that. But I really want something out of my wheelhouse, and the wheelhouse is 77 to 93. We've done 78, we've done 82, and we've done 85, and the oddball out was 49. So I'm thinking post 93. I am thinking 2001. But if there's another season post strike that kind of tickles your fancy, there's a chance to let me know what it is. Except post strike 95 could be there because it would be a shortened regular season. I only played 144 games. So let me know what you would like to see, and we will start the season in earnest once the new game is Action PC is released around Christmas time, and hopefully we have no lockouts or lockdowns or anything like that. So it's pretty much a straight 26 week, with the exception of 1 week for the July 4th vacation because that's my wife's birthday. And hopefully we won't get COVID again this year, which knocked me out for 2 weeks. So I did miss a month. And so generally I want to be done with the baseball project around the time the football season gets going. Speaking of football projects, I don't think I'm going to do another football project. I didn't even finish the 84 playoffs, which I had started in Pro Strategy Football 2022. A good game. It just, to sit there and do an hour and a half of something that you kind of are half interested in really doesn't do too much for me. And if I'm not really all that entertained, if it's just pushing out the content, then you guys are going to pick up on that. And even though it was a good season and all that, I'm just not as much of a huge fan of Action PC football as I am Action PC baseball. Once you got to get in the game mechanics and make sure that all the players are filled and the miracle comeback after miracle comeback after miracle comeback, it just strikes. It's one thing to have legitimate craziness happen. It seems to be at times with Action PC football a bit contrived, that no lead is safe, and I'm running both the offenses. And so there are other football games I like better, but they don't stream all that well. I'm a big fan of 2nd and 10, and I keep buying more seasons for Strat Football. I like Strat Football as a game, but to show off that game, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, and people really don't want to sit for an hour and a half and 2 hours to watch someone play a fake football game. So there's probably not going to be there certainly won't be a football project this year. But I'm really not quite sure what the best way to do that. I thought about just having the computer play games in Pro Strategy Football and do a highlight package type show. That still might happen at some point on tape. But again, I'm getting to the point now with some of the other sports where I don't necessarily play the whole thing in one sitting. I was actually playing a Celtics game today. It was playing the Celtics at Indiana. And great 85-86 Celtics. And man, that team is so much fun. In Stratomatic. But it took me 2 sittings to do. And I played the first quarter and a half. The first time went and did some other things. And then played the rest of the game the second time through. Which for me works great. But you can't do that in a live stream. And if it takes about an hour to play a basketball game straight up with just the way that I play, double that time to actually stream it. Baseball, I can play a game in Action PC in about 30-35 minutes if I'm just buzzing along, but it's an hour stream, and I have no problem with that. That's not an issue at all. So when I do the football, basketball, and hockey offline, it is, again, not necessarily in one sitting. Hockey I can pretty much sit through, and I've streamed some Strat Hockey for you, but again, it's not the most visually pleasing thing to sit through, and the numbers reflect it, especially live, because people like to watch my stuff live. And it's going to be on, the live stuff is going to continue to be on Twitch because I get paid decent money to be on Twitch, thanks to all of you. So, but it's fine for YouTube where you can skip around and stuff like that. So, as far as other projects between the baseball seasons, the golf one I'm liking a great deal. Instead of just doing the top down, here's the final round, and here's the, following the leaders around for 18 holes or whatever, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. I had my own golfer created in ASG Golf, All-Star Games Golf. I also have my own character created in Action PC. I like the way that ASG games or ASG Golf works. It fits my eye better. I think it works. If it works better for me, it's going to work better to show you guys. Plus, I show myself on the screen. In fact, that's the setup I'm using to actually tape this state of this channel address. And I also like the fact that I'm not guaranteed to play well every week. First week, I finished T11 down at Royal Melbourne, and Riviera, which someone else suggested that I played. It's a course I really like, and I missed the cut, which happens. I mean, that's the thing, is that television golf shows you the leaders, and only the leaders in Tiger Woods, or when Phil Mickelson was on tour, Phil Mickelson, people that casual people would know. And those people aren't struggling to make cuts to play on the weekend. and being able to show my thought processes as we go through the course of a round. It's just something different than that. And after 5 years of streaming pretty much 2 or 3 times a week, it's important to find new things that you keep yourself interested in, because if I'm interested, then you guys are going to be interested in it as well. I think that's the plan. And if not, you guys will let me know. So that will be on the cards for a while. And in fact, I can run, since that's only 2 streams a week, concurrent with the baseball season. The other project I want to do, and we're waiting for Halloween, so about a week, is the actual release of Stone Cold Hockey. Now, Dave Gardner and I have been doing the beta for that for a while, and the game has come a long, long way. It was very solid from the start, but this has turned in from a good game to a great game, and I think it'll show off well. It's a Richard Hanna game, and he is just the absolute expert at making these games look good and play like you're playing the card and dice version of the product. That I'm toying with doing kind of like a Hockey Night in Canada or a single team replay, and when doing one of those games would show another game from a given night. So it would probably start with about 6 or 7 weeks, there's Thanksgiving thrown in, and getting into the portion of a season, and then probably taking some sort of hiatus or at least maybe some tape stuff, because again, baseball pays the bills on the channel, and baseball is my favorite sport, and it's what you guys come to expect in the lunch hours that we spend together, or the nights in prime time occasionally. I really enjoy that. I think you'll like the hockey. It's gotten good reviews so far, as far as gameplay is concerned, and you guys will be able to pick that up with that. The golf, again, kind of one of those things that doesn't necessarily run for as long as it wants. It doesn't need to be at set times. I think that's probably what we're going to be doing on Thursdays and Sundays until baseball season comes back around for at least the channel. Very interested to see what you guys would like to do in more of these type of videos, me talking on the camera, me talking about states of gaming, whatever it is. For those of you looking for instructional videos on certain things, there's a lot of it already on my channel. Just go back and search for it. I think I've shown off pretty much most of what I have of some form. I guess the 3 things I'd like to do, or 4 things I'd like to do more of, would be horse racing, boxing, tennis, and auto racing. 3 of those games, I have games that stream really well. Auto racing, I'm just not quite sure what I would do with that. And of course, Roberto Savini's all of his track and field stuff over the years. Again, great for playing on the tabletop, not the world's best stuff to be showing off. So any thoughts about that? Because I like doing the other sports every once in a while to be cutting in. And again, not quite sure what I would do for football, but don't expect a long football project. My heart just isn't really in it. And I would encourage those of you who might be looking out there going, I wish there was something I could stream. What could I stream? Someone that would do a really good job doing football is going to do really well, because football is the #1 sport in North America, and there are people who do it really, really well. And the games I do enjoy doing them, but again, 20 weeks, 2 to 3 games a week of me playing just isn't in the cards for me anymore. I very rarely would start a project and not finish it, and it just really wasn't all that fun for me anymore. And it's got to be fun for me. It has to be fun for me, and I know that you guys want to watch, and I know I just don't want to be all a baseball channel. As far as we got the golf going, I got a golf project going when I want. You can't create the tennis player. I really would like that option to be able, but it's not in time travel tennis anyway. We showed time travel tennis every once in a while, and people will look, people will watch for a couple minutes, and people will move on to something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I'm grateful for any amount of time that you guys spend to watch what it is that I do. But knowing what my numbers are for how long you watch me do A, B, and C. If someone's watching me for 20, 25 minutes do a baseball game and only watching 5 minutes while I play tennis, there just really isn't the audience there for sim tennis. Horse racing I enjoy. I still can't quite figure out the right project to do. Ideally, I guess what I would like to do is take 1 day a week and do non-standard stuff. So it wouldn't be baseball, or if there does happen to be a small football project going. Problem is, the football games that I like the most just don't stream all that well. What else? I'm looking at what I've got on my screen. Classic soccer, again, that was a sport that I enjoyed playing, but again, it's just doesn't necessarily come across as something you want to sit for an hour to watch. And again, no problem with that. That's why we test these things out. So what else do I want to talk about? Again, what kind of oddball things would you like me to talk about? There are certain things I do that I think go on better in these chats that may not take a full half hour to do with Dave on Digital Dice, or he's not real comfortable in talking about, or he wants to talk about something that is on his mind and I'm not necessarily really good at talking about as well. So, what would you like to see me on camera for 15, 20 minutes to talk about? I think that there will be, now that the Phillies are in the series, some sort of World Series pre-play. We'll probably get that done. And if Houston wins in relatively short order, we could actually start that this week, doing a World Series pre-play, a couple games at a time. Because I like the pre-plays. I mean, the slogan I came up with for the channel was home of the champions of the past, present, and or future, and that would be the future part of it. We've done it for the Super Bowl a couple times. I've done it for the World Series a couple times. I've never gotten it right, but that's the way the ball bounces. So let's see, what else? So yeah, if I was to do some sort of oddball live stream, kind of like a wide world of sports, what would you like to see on it? I mean, there's horse racing, there's tennis. I probably wouldn't want to go more than 4 live days a week, but an anthology series of fights or tennis or what have you, something out of the realm, doesn't necessarily have to be live. I can record stuff. It's winter time coming up here, and I've got lots of time to myself with just me, myself, and the camera. So, very interested in what you guys want to hear about that. Like I said, the hockey I think we would do until the baseball season starts, and then pick it back up, or maybe just do a shorter hockey project that we can actually finish in that 6, 7, 8 weeks. You never know. So I would love to hear your opinions about that. And of course, there's new games coming out all the time, and that's great. I do think this hobby is in a pretty good spot right now. We could do a little bit a better job marketing to younger people, but that's not for here nor there. So I guess in closing, as always, I am so thankful for all of you who have done the Patreon thing with me, who do the Patreon thing with Dave and I for Digital Dice, who watch my live streams on Twitch, who are subscribers there, because that costs you money on Twitch, or if you hook up your Prime, Amazon Prime account and not attached to anyone else, it doesn't cost you $1, and I get $2.50 for every sub. I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. It is what I do to keep myself out of trouble and quote-unquote work, but I really, after a long time of doing the writing thing, which can be a massive grind, to be able to work the hours that I want to work and get some money from it, and more so the enjoyment of interacting with all of you who seem to like what I do. And so this going on now for year number 5 because of you. And so I don't think I ever say this enough. Thank you so much for everything that you say and do and what you watch and the laughs that we have together. The live streams for baseball are the best producers that a broadcaster could ever have. you think that this job looks easy, and for the most part it is, but when you are trying to move things along, call a game, play a game, entertain people without a script, you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, everything that I do is improv. I don't have any notes here. When I'm looking at the screen, it's like, oh, what do I have to show off? Let's see, other things that are coming up. Islanders are at the 60 game mark in my 75-76 replay, so it's probably a video on that. And the Celtics are almost halfway, so we'll do some statistical wraps for that as well. That's been so fun. And remember, there's no deadline for getting a replay done. I need to think of a baseball project I want to do on my own, because it is the favorite thing to do, although right now I'm playing other things because I just did 100 baseball games. All right, that's about enough. Again, thank you so much for everything that you do for me and for the podcast with Digital Dice with Dave and for the community. It is greatly, greatly appreciated, and I hope that it brings something to you in this wonderful hobby that we all share. So until the next time, I'm Ron Juckett. We'll talk to you the next time. Good night.